It's Hillary, and I'm reviewing and showing the unboxing footage for my Kindle Oasis, which is right here. Here's how it looks. It's the one with the buttons. And for the sake of this review, I'm just gonna stick it back here. So I'm gonna start with an introduction slash disclaimer. This review is from the perspective of a reader and not a tech expert or guru. I'm not the type of person who upgrades with every new generation. I tend to use my electronics until functionality drops or I have a compelling reason to upgrade. And if you're new to my channel, I am a librarian and I primarily read ebooks and listen to audiobooks. I just prefer those to reading physical books. It's what works best for me, so it's what I do. I'm a big advocate for finding your ideal way to read and continuing to do what works. I also think it's important to note that having a dedicated e-reader is not for everybody, and there are more affordable and more accessible e-readers out there. I just happened to spend a lot of time deciding whether or not I wanted to upgrade to a new Paperwhite or the Oasis, and then I finally settled on the Oasis. If you want to know, it ultimately came down to the fact that the Oasis has the page turn buttons. Okay, let's get into some information about the Kindle that I purchased. I also still have the box, so let's look at that. I have the 2019 version. It is the 10th generation. I got it in graphite and I upgraded to the 32 gigabyte model because I thought maybe eventually I would need that much space. Realistically, I don't think I will. The Oasis has a 7-inch touchscreen display at 300 pixels per inch. So that just means that it's a higher resolution. I believe the standard Kindle is 167 pixels per inch. The Paperwhite that I used to have was in the 200 range, and the current Paperwhite is also 300. This has a 7-inch screen and the Paperwhite had a 6-inch screen and also buttons. Another reason I felt inclined to get the Oasis over the Paperwhite is that it has an option for a warm light. There's been a lot of discussion and research about how blue lights are not good for you, especially late at night, and they're disruptive to your sleep. And I do read a lot at night, so I thought maybe that'll be worth it. I have mine set to change depending on the time of day. I definitely do not like the highest setting. So like I mentioned before, part of the reason that I did want to get the Kindle Oasis is that it has page turn buttons, and I didn't actually think that they would be that revolutionary for me, but it turns out that they are, and I will get into that a little bit later. The Oasis is also supposed to be waterproof, which I have not tested and I will not test because I just don't read near water. Both the Oasis and the Paperwhite have Bluetooth capabilities, and I haven't tested those, nor do I think I will. They basically just connect to your Audible account and you can listen and read. The battery is supposed to last around 6 weeks per charge if you're reading for 30 minutes per night. I don't read consistently for 30 minutes at a time. Like sometimes I'll read for 30 minutes and then I'll go a few days without reading and then I'll read for like 4 hours. So like it's very inconsistent and I haven't been tracking my battery usage. Honestly, I think the battery life is about the same as my old Kindle Paperwhite, and the one that I had was from 2013. So that's not necessarily a great sign for the battery life, but I probably charge my Kindle once every week or two depending on how much I use it. And for me, that's not a big issue. You can also configure the page turn buttons, so whatever's on top could be forward and then whatever's on bottom can be back. So when I flip it, this is now forward and this is now back. Or you can reverse it. And if you prefer, you can also invert black and white so you can read in dark mode. But the whole point of that tangent was to explain that you can switch your Kindle in whatever orientation you want depending on how you are. Like if you're laying in bed or if you're left-handed and you would prefer to hold it with your left hand. So just these are some good accessibility options. And this also has an ergonomic design. So the part that you hold is very comfortable and easy to hold. I know a lot of people have complained about just holding the regular Kindle. It's just as uncomfortable as holding a phone for hours on end. So any little thing that helps really helps. Now I want to go a little more in depth into my thoughts about the Oasis. First and foremost, the page turn buttons. The page turn buttons are truly fantastic. When I had my Paperwhite, sometimes it wouldn't recognize my touch, so you just tap it with your thumb and it would go to the next page. And sometimes it didn't do that. So then I would tap it again and it either would go to the next page or it would skip a couple pages. This problem doesn't really happen to me now that I have the page turn buttons. I never touch the screen to change the page. And it's also nice if I'm laying down and my arm is squished and I only want to use one hand. It's a nice thing to have. And also it's a great accessibility feature. As I mentioned before, the battery life is about the same as my 2013 Kindle Paperwhite, and that's not the greatest sign just because this is supposed to be something more advanced and you would think that eventually it would get better. But I also understand that the specs are completely different for the two devices, so it's not that big of a deal that it kind of balances out. I have noticed that some people who have newer Kindle Paperwhites have complained after switching to the Oasis that the battery life isn't as good as it is for the Paperwhite. So if the extra battery life is important to you, then that's something to certainly consider. I'm an anxious person. Devices do not die on me because I constantly check their battery life. It's also not that big of a deal to me to bring a charger with me if I know that I'm going to be away from home for a long time and I will be using my Kindle for a while. So it just depends on what you prefer. And I also get that it's not very practical to bring a charger with you everywhere. I just happen to do that. Another thing that I think is fair mentioning is that the 5-watt wall charger is sold separately. A lot of companies are doing this now, and not the biggest fan, but Amazon's been doing this for a long time. I didn't have a wall charger when I got my 2013 Paperwhite, so I just always charged it using like my laptop or other wall charging units. This uses micro USB, and USB-C has been popular for longer than this model has been around. I don't really understand why they couldn't just wait to rework it and release this with a USB-C charger. I mean, USB-C is the new-ish standard. To me, it comes off as lazy. Also, I do have an option to use this Audible feature. It also comes with the Paperwhite, so it's not like it's exclusive to the Oasis, but I just don't think I'll ever use it. I feel like this type of device is more of an extra, and more people are likely to have smartphones than e-readers, so I'm just struggling to come up with who this feature is for, but I'm sure there's somebody who uses it. I'm just not that person. If you are new to ebooks, my recommendation is always to try reading them on a device you already own. So whether it's your computer or a smartphone or a tablet, try it out there first and see if you enjoy the process or the experience. And then if you do and you feel like you're ready to take the plunge, then I think it's worth getting an e-reader because they are far less distracting. Whenever I try reading on my phone, I do get distracted by notifications. So it's honestly it's better to be able to separate the two for me. But it is an investment and it's not necessarily possible for everybody. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is like a quick comparison of all of the Kindle e-readers that are available right now. The first one is the base Kindle model, and it actually has a backlight now. I think they have for a while. That one starts at $89 US. I think it has 8 gigabytes of storage, and it's not a bad place to start if you're just getting into e-readers. The Kindle Paperwhite is by far their most popular model. It starts at $129. It goes on sale so many times throughout the year. So you can get that for almost the same price as the base Kindle, which is nice. And then you have the Oasis, and it starts at $249. I upgraded my storage, so it was $279. When I bought my Oasis, I bought it partially with a gift card from my grandma, and I got a 20% discount for trading in my old Kindle. Plus, I also got a $25 gift card for trading it in. I got it at a major discount. I love this Kindle. I think it's amazing. This is a very well-built device. It has an aluminum body, the actual screen is glass, and the Paperwhite is entirely plastic. And I do think that this is a major step up from what I had before. I definitely benefited from upgrading to this Kindle because I got a 20% discount. And the fact that they're willing to do that without even seeing the device, and the fact that the extra gift card that was added to my account was the amount that I got specifically for the device, just makes me think that this is not worth $250 or $270. It's a major step up, and I do think that overall it's a good device. But it's also an e-reader, and I'm struggling with whether or not the price point is right for this. I think if a lot of the accessibility features appeal to you, then yes, it's worth the price. Absolutely. I definitely come from a place of privilege, so if I had the option of buying it again, I probably would. So, bottom line, do I recommend this? Yes and no, but we are going to cut to the footage of me opening this. I actually purchased this at the end of February, and I filmed the footage of me opening it at the beginning of March. So let's move on to that portion of the video. I think I'm going to find some other reviews from booktubers reviewing the Kindle Oasis and link them in the information bar below. So definitely check that out to see what other people have to say, because I can almost guarantee that other booktubers have mentioned things that I did not mention in this video. And if you found this by searching on YouTube, then you're probably looking for more reviews. So I'm gonna try to link to some good ones. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye.